In this video is every single fantasy football update from week 1 of NFL training camp that just finished. We'll start with players rising in value, one player that is getting extremely overhyped in ADP, climbing like crazy, and then some very big injuries to big name players at the end, so make sure you stick around for that. And subscribe if you want to get this video of training camp news recap every single week. But starting with the biggest piece of news here is the Broncos backfield. The RB1 might not be exactly who you expect. J.K. Dobbins is starting with all first team reps right now, every single one so far in training camp. It looks like he is set to be the starter in week 1 against the Tennessee Titans. Now, that's not a crazy difficult matchup. Last year, the Titans were a complete pass funnel. They did not allow a lot of fantasy points to running backs because they were just such a liability in that aspect. Dobbins will likely start as the primary receiving running back in this offense. So it looks like RJ Harvey is going to take a few weeks to get acclimated to the NFL. Way too early note. I think he's probably going to be a really good buy low candidate for that reason in week 2 or 3. But don't be scared to draft RJ Harvey. He is in one of the better offenses in the NFL with Sean Payton, who statistically and historically loves to target his running backs every single year. He's had his running backs top 5 in targets, design runs, and pass game utilization. I love targeting both these guys in my fantasy football drafts. Harvey is going in round 5. It's a bit too steep, but J.K. Dobbins in round 9. That's absolutely beautiful. The second major takeaway from week 1 of training camp is that Matthew Golden and the Packers wide receiver room is kind of becoming solidified. One of the most crowded wide receiver rooms in the NFL. Multiple gadget guys. Golden is one of and getting the most first team reps with the team right now, even in 2 wide receiver sets, which means there's only 2 wide receivers on the field running these routes in training camp. He is one of them, and Jaden Reed is not, which means Golden, he's built for a perfect X receiver in this offense. The Packers have been needing that. And you look at his stats from 2024 in college, his success rate is over 70% in every single route type. He's going to go deep. That's really what he's good at. And he's going at the wide receiver 42 value right now in round 8. That price is very solid for a potential number 1 option on a good offense. And to put that into perspective, Jaden Reed is going as the wide receiver 44. I'm avoiding him there. Dontavian Wicks, Romeo Doubs, Savion Williams, all the rest of the potential wide receiver 2s and 3s, they're going outside the top 70. But possibly the most important note here, Emeka Egbuka has also been looking very good in his first week of camp. He had the most receptions and the most targets out of all Buccaneers wide receivers in this first week. Evans has struggled. He's 32 years old, coming off a pretty serious injury that he dealt with in the back half of last year. If you guys have been around any of this channel, any of the Instagram, TikTok posts I've been making, I'm not super high on Mike Evans this year. Because of his age, because of the injury, I think he can meet his 1,000-yard seasons that he's been on a tear for getting. But he's going at the wide receiver 15. That's a bit too steep. And the NFL is a business. Why else are you taking Emeka Egbuka with the 19th overall pick if him and Chris Godwin are both perfectly fine? You look at Chris Godwin, he's dealing with a little bit of an injury himself. His timeline is not 100% guaranteed to start the season. I will get into that at the end of the video. We will have all of that information of the injuries to big players. Again, remember to stay around for that. But he might miss the first 4 games. That means there's more room for Emeka Egbuka to be a top wide receiver in this offense. They wouldn't go out and draft a rookie that high if he wasn't going to play a role. He's gotten very high praise from Baker Mayfield already, showing out in camp. Every quarterback's going to say that about the rookies. That's not really anything we can take away from that. But the fact that he is technically a wide receiver 3 keeps his value low. He's going outside the top 50 wide receivers in round 11 of fantasy drafts. I think that's beautiful for what he is, especially when I get into the Chris Godwin news at the end of this video. But possibly my favorite sleeper right now, Elijah Arroyo, has been looking amazing in camp so far and probably one of the best last pick candidates. He's listed as a tight end in fantasy football right now, but he's been playing everywhere on this offense. In the formation, he's been playing in the slot, outside, in line, at the tight end position as well, but quote unquote, he is the best wide receiver from Thursday's training camp day, and he's been lining up at wide receiver a lot, which is very good. They let go of Noah Fant, which might be the most important note for him here. That happened a few days ago. The organization is telling us what they're doing and what they think of Elijah Arroyo here. Fant was a Seahawk for 3 years. He's only 27 years old. This isn't a guy that you just cut off the roster. He's 32 years old, been a guy that's around the league. Arroyo is still in competition at the tight end position with A.J. Barner, who was a rookie last year, but he never really amounted to much as a starter. And even in the weeks where he wasn't much. He's going to stay as the primary blocking tight end for this team. And with Arroyo technically listed as a tight end, if he becomes valuable in any sort of way in the receiving game, which all signs are pointing towards he will, I think he could be the next Taysom Hill at the position. He's going as the tight end 32 though. So he's going undrafted. Like, you're not going to be taking him most likely in fantasy football drafts right now. But keep an eye on him because I promise you he will be in a waiver wire video at some point on this channel. I am not hiding from him at all. But a guy you're going to have to hide from your league mates is Travion Henderson, he has been dominating in camp right now. Through week 1, he's been getting all of the wheel routes, a ton of receiving usage from Drake May, and he was able to turn almost all of those wheel routes into home run plays, quote unquote. That's not just me saying that. He was also, again, open in the receiving game, not just utilized in it, getting used as a slot receiver specifically. If you guys haven't seen the video on running backs that I refuse to leave my drafts without, I'll give you a little bit of a sneak peek. He is in that. I'll pin that video up top for you guys to watch. For those reasons exactly. He's the best pass blocking running back in the class. Yes, over Ashton Genty, so he's going to be on the field. Antonio Gibson, Ramondre Stevenson, both of them have had a long history of fumbling issues. I believe they totaled 9 together fumbles. That's not good. That's not going to keep you on the field. And now they bring in offensive coordinator Josh McDaniels. The last time he was here, he led running back James White to have 3 straight seasons over a 17% target share. One season where it was at 22. Like, that's better. That's the RB1 last year, better than Alvin Kamara. And a staff member reported that he's better than Devon Achane. Now, that means absolutely nothing. Take it for what you will, but it's an interesting comparison, I guess. And Jameson Williams, though, another guy looking extremely solid in camp right now. And this guy, he is on my official draft list already. Now, he is going as the wide receiver 26 in round 5 or 6. It's a bit steep, to be completely honest, but Dan Campbell himself has come out and said that his route running has gotten so much better. We know he's insanely fast in the 95th percentile of speed. I believe he ran a 4.39 40-yard dash. He could realistically get wide receiver 1 like utilization this year. Now, he's not going to overtake Amon-Ra, but with the new offensive coordinator, they get rid of Ben Johnson, replace that with John Morton. I think he could make a little bit of noise in this offense. He should be closer to Amon-Ra in total yards, maybe not fantasy points and touchdowns, but last year he was the wide receiver 12 in yards after the catch, the wide receiver 11 in route separation, and the wide receiver 7 in fantasy points per target. All of that combines together for him being the wide receiver 24 in fantasy points per game. Now he's going lower than that in fantasy draft, so make that make sense. But a player that does not make sense, the guy that has been skyrocketing through draft positions, overhyped like crazy, is none other than Kyle Pitts. And I'll give you exactly what you need to know about this player right now. First things first, he's been working with the wide receivers. That's raising eyebrows. That's a little bit interesting. So far, he has been successful with Michael Penix in the first week of training camp. But this camp news to me is a bit biased. A lot of it is coming from beat reporters. The buzz is there. He's been on the podcast. Kyle Pitts has been everywhere, it seems like. But if we go deeper and just look into the stats and take a quick second to do that, with Penix last year, he went from bad to absolutely worse. In the last 6 games together, Pitts saw his lowest snap percentage of the year. He went from 67% of the snaps average in that first half of the season to 44% in those weeks. He averaged his lowest target share, 3.3 targets per game. That was good for 6.5 fantasy points. Now, none of this is to say that that's impossible to change. But it does mean there is another reason for why he will not be a breakout, and that is the coaching staff. If the guy that's running these plays does not want to use you in the offense, you're just not going to get used. It's just how it works. Zach Robinson comes to this team last season, and the scheme just does not work well for Kyle Pitts. Robinson's offense is downfield, dynamic. Passing attack is there, which is why we saw Darnell Mooney and Drake London have a really great season last year. It's not a gimmicky, easy RPO screenplay, get the tight ends involved as a security blanket kind of offense. And that didn't work for Kyle Pitts. And even when Kyle Pitts is running downfield in the kind of offense that Zach Robinson likes, getting into the safeties, he's not successful. Like, his route separation is terrible. All of this buzz going around Pitts and podcasts and the reporters that have been talking about him, if we just take an extra second to look at what the coaches are actually saying about him, Zach Robinson says word for word, details, fundamentals, and consistency is his problem. Those things typically don't change. And he has said Pitts isn't the volume pass catcher, and he's not the easy check down guy. So what exactly is he if he's neither of those things? And the last thing that I will note is his run blocking is absolutely atrocious. That will keep you on the field as a tight end if you're good at blocking, if you're good at setting up the rest of the offense. That's why we saw guys like Brock Bowers, Sam Laporta be successful in their rookie years. For the record, Kyle Pitts is a terrible run blocker. Like, his snap percentage likely isn't going to jump a ton because of that reason. With all of these things, he's jumped to the tight end 16 in fantasy football. That's 10 spots higher than he was a month ago. Now he's getting drafted next to Zach Ertz, Isaiah Likely, almost above Dallas Goedert, and I promise he's going to keep climbing in ADPs. If you want to take him, okay, just do not let him be your tight end 1 because there is massive risk even at the tight end 16. But quickly to end off this video, injury notes we need to know. Really big, Chris Godwin trending towards starting the season on the PUP list. That means he'll miss the first 4 games of the season. That's not good. Great for Emeka Egbuka. I like drafting him. He's going outside the top 50 wide receivers. Why not? The 49ers allegedly are not anywhere near having a timeline for Brandon Ayuk's return from his knee injury last season. He likely will not start the season healthy. That is a big red flag. I like Juwan Jennings. I like Ricky Pearsall for those reasons. Luther Burton said to be fine for training camp. Training camp started a week ago. He's not good. All offseason, they've been saying, oh, Luther Burton's good. He's good. He's good. He's been dealing with a soft tissue issue, and it's undisclosed what that even means. He's been dealing with that all offseason. It's still lingering. He hasn't practiced. He remains day to day. So when you have Colston Loveland, DJ Moore, Roma Dunze, all these really good pass catchers, there's not really a reason to rush him back into the offense. I expect him to take his time. I will be, again, monitoring that for you guys every single week of training camp. If you want this video every week to be ahead of your league mates, hit that subscribe button. It's free to you, and it helps me out as a person. I love seeing you guys in these comment sections and watching the videos, of course. But Najee Harris is in a similar boat. Allegedly fine, but he's been dealing with his eye injury from July 4th. Who knows what's going on with him? If you know, you know. If you don't, check the comments. I'm sure somebody will inform you. If not, I will myself. But he's on the non-football injury list. He could miss a good part of training camp. He already has, which means Amarion Hampton is taking that many more first-team reps for running back, and I really love that. I already like him as a fantasy value. This makes it even more. And Joe Mixon has been spotted in a walking boot, not practicing. That's not a good sign. Again, the NFL is a business. You don't go out and sign Nick Chubb. You don't go out and draft Woody Marks if you think Joe Mixon is perfectly healthy and ready to get the workload that he got last season. A lot of people expect that to continue, but you just got to look at it from an outside perspective. That's probably not going to happen. He's not at camp. We'll see what happens with that. Again, I will continue to update you guys. Stephon Diggs and Rashee Rice are both healthy, good to go at training camp. Outside of the legal issues for Rashee Rice, that's probably going to help him miss a good amount of games, and I don't really love that for him. Jalen Royals has been doing really good in camp with his absence. He could be a guy to watch, but that is going to finish off this video. If you guys want to continue to get these updates, please hit that subscribe button. I will see you guys in the next one coming very soon, and all glory to the man above.